Todd Suttles and Michael English, their travels, disputations, and exits from the Gaither Vocal Band, One Legacy, Two Voices. The renowned Bill Gaither formed the Gaither Vocal Band, GVB, which has long been regarded as one of the most recognizable ensembles in Southern gospel music. It has become a mainstay in Christian homes all around the world thanks to its harmonies, inspirational lyrics, and changing lineup of gifted vocalists. Michael English and Todd Suttles are two names that stand out among its many talented members for rather different reasons. Despite the fact that both made significant contributions to the band's musical and spiritual heritage, their paths varied in ways that were occasionally controversial and other times inspirational. Before a personal scandal rocked his career, to its foundation in the 1980s and early 1990s, Michael English enthralled listeners with his soaring tenor voice and unadulterated emotional depth. Conversely, Todd Suttles provided a completely different vibe that was based on joy, humility, and strength. His arrival united generations and gave the ensemble a fresh personality. The stories of both men are entwined with themes of change, redemption, fall, and triumph despite their divergent journeys. Let's examine each of their personal narratives, the ways in which their trajectories came together, and the disputes and choices that eventually affected their decision to leave the Gaither Vocal Band. The Gospel Prodigy and the Anguish of Public Failure. Michael English's early years and the road to gospel fame. Michael English, who was born in 1962 in Kenansville, North Carolina, was raised surrounded by gospel culture. He was raised surrounded by hymns and harmonies while performing with his family's group, the Singing Samaritans. Even as a teenager, his extraordinary talent was evident, and Southern gospel experts quickly noticed. Early appearances with bands like the Singing Americans and the Goodmans prepared him for his life's biggest break, which came in 1985 when he joined the Gaither Vocal Band. Michael's voice really came into its own here. He immediately became a fan favorite due to his vocal dexterity and profound emotional resonance. He put all of his heart into every song. He didn't merely sing. Michael English was a phenomenon rather than just another tenor in a gospel group. Psalms like Mary, Did You Know? And I Bowed on My Knees and Cried Holy demonstrated not only his vocal skill but also his capacity to interpret lyrics in a way that moved listeners. Thoughts on belief, failure, and future paths. The experiences of Todd Suttles and Michael English are reflections of the human journey, rather than only being the story of two individuals in a gospel group. They make clear the intricacy of skill, the strain of public life, the strength of salvation, and the everlasting appeal of faith. In addition to its harmonies and hymns, the Gaither Vocal Band has endured through innumerable seasons because of the genuine, flawed, and lovely people who have influenced its past. There were both triumphs and tragedies during Michael English's tenure with the Gaither Vocal Band. For Southern gospel aficionados, his unquestionably strong voice became the sound of a bygone age. However, his triumph was clouded by his personal decisions and the fallout from a public scandal. However, it is impossible to examine Michael's journey without recognizing his bravery in owning up to his mistakes, accepting responsibility, and trying to mend what had been damaged. After years of disarray, his return to the GVB was more than just a musical reunion. It was a demonstration of grace. It served as a reminder that with a helping hand, even the most vulnerable may rise again. However, Michael's narrative also serves as a sad illustration of the dual responsibility that comes with popularity in religious settings. The fall is human and cruel when the expectations are heavenly. The way the Christian music industry and the Christian audience responded to his difficulties highlights a broader problem in the gospel community: the propensity to exalt brilliance only to reject the singer when they fall. There is frequently little space for genuine imperfection in the singers of all the songs about mending and forgiveness. That conflict was something that Michael English experienced. Therefore, his legacy encompasses both his survival and his singing. Conversely, Todd Devils embodies a distinct form of gospel heritage. He didn't fit the usual stereotype. Although he lacked the polished credentials of a conventional gospel singer, he possessed joy, which was just as potent. Fans were able to interact with him in a fresh way because of his sporting experience and nice disposition on stage. He lived his songs rather than merely singing them. During his tenure, the group's dynamic was redefined by his bright presence. There had been some questions along the way, even for Todd. His diminished role in recent Gaither productions, coupled with hushed rumors of conflicts behind the scenes, raises the possibility that peace off stage does not always equate to harmony on stage. The potential for creative differences and changing values inside the group is not out of place. Even though there hasn't been the same level of controversy surrounding Todd as there was with Michael, like any established organization, GVB has to strike a balance between tradition and change. And throughout that process, it can be tricky to stay in sync with the traditional beat when hearing voices like Todd's, authentic, fearless, and sometimes even unconventional. What can we learn from these two tales, then? They tell us that the world of gospel music is not a fantasy. It is filled with actual people, suffering, and issues. However, it is also incredibly resilient. The rise, fall, and partial redemption of Michael English is a tale of grace meeting failure rather than a scandal. The fact that Todd Suttles entered the gospel community from outside of its typical circles is not merely a new development. Rather, it is a testament to the gospel's capacity to grow and welcome fresh perspectives. God uses people in all phases of life, flawed, redeemed, joyous, broken, and unexpected. As both men teach us, the saints are not the only ones who enjoy gospel music. It's for the wrestlers, that is, the skeptics, the people who made a mistake yet still turned up. It's for those who discovered themselves at the center of God's purpose despite not choosing the conventional route. The Gaither Vocal Band will surely embrace new members, new styles, and new directions as it moves forward. However, the contributions of those who cleared the path should never be forgotten. Truth, heartache, and soul were brought by Michael English. Todd Devils contributed vigor, fortitude, and a happy sort of upheaval. Together, they helped define an era of gospel music that continues to echo in hearts today. They influence the band's heart as much as its music. The lives of Michael and Todd bring us back to the foundation of gospel music, which is the message of hope despite adversity. In a time when the genre has become increasingly commercial and image occasionally overshadows message, it's not about being flawless. It's about identifying the one who makes us perfect in our frailties. Fans could still wonder if Todd is really stepping away or why Michael left for good. The answers might be revealed eventually, or they might stay hidden in confidential judgments. However, their voices will continue to have an impact. They were genuine, not perfect, which is why every note they sang and every testimony they gave still reverberates in the hearts of everyone who heard them. And it might be the most potent legacy of all. Going It Alone. The Ascent and Decline. In the early 1990s, Michael started a solo career with Bill Gaither's approval. His self-titled debut album confirmed that he was the next big thing in contemporary Christian music, CCM. In 1994, English was the recipient of 4 Dove Awards, including Artist of the Year. Nothing seemed to be stopping him at that time. However, a few days after that night that changed the course of his career, Michael made a shocking revelation that rocked the Christian music industry. He acknowledged having an affair outside of marriage with Maribeth Jordan, who was a member of First Call, another Christian group. Both personally and professionally, the confession was disastrous. He was dropped by his label, blacklisted by radio stations, and denounced by churches, fans, and even some of his contemporaries. Michael gave his Dove Awards back willingly. There was too much shame. His marriage ended in divorce shortly after, and he started to battle despair and substance misuse. Return and redemption. Michael vanished from the public eye for several years. In a religious society that can be both forgiving and cruel, he had to deal with suffering, addiction, and the fallout from being canceled. However, redemption returned to him. Michael gradually put his life back together with the help of his loved ones, friends, and Bill Gaither himself. Many interpreted his 2009 reunion with the Gaither Vocal Band as a sign of forgiveness and second chances. Despite the effects of time and hardship, his voice remained strong. He incorporated his testimony into his artwork. Fans reacted to the songs he played during this time with a mixture of forgiveness and admiration, reflected again in experiences. It was revealed in October 2013 that Michael would be rejoining the Gaither Vocal Band. This time, the exit was presented as a professional choice made to better manage his time and health and concentrate on his solo job. However, rumors circulated behind the scenes that his departure might have been influenced by the emotional toll, chronic anxiety issues, and the difficulty of balancing solo obligations with the demands of GVB touring. Todd Suttles, an alternative. Path from athletics to the stage. Michael English's narrative and Todd Suttles' story are so dissimilar. Todd didn't have any professional musical experience prior to getting involved in gospel music. He was raised mostly in the sports industry and had a rich, soulful baritone voice from birth. He was adored for his leadership, vigor, and encouragement, while working as the strength and conditioning coach at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. It was by chance that he ended up with the Gaither Vocal Band. Todd and Bill Gaither connected, and Gaither was captivated by his contagious pleasure and profound spirituality. Despite not having received any professional voice instruction, Todd's love for music and ministry was evident. Early in 2014, he joined the Gaither Vocal Band. Leaving his mark, the GVB sound was enhanced by Todd's powerful voice. His distinct tone served as a basis for the group's harmonies to flourish. Addition, he had an unmistakable stage persona that was genuine, amusing, and completely enthralling. Audiences from many walks of life found resonance in his testimony, which was based on hard labor and faith. Fans adored Todd for his heart as much as his voice. He was a person who brought humility to every stage he walked on, made every line feel like a personal message, and smiled throughout every performance. He toured widely with the group and contributed to several studio albums. His arrival heralded a new age of joyful worship, sincerity, and diversity. Rumors of disagreement and potential exit as of right now. Todd Suttles' departure from the Gaither Vocal Band has not been formally announced. He still makes appearances in advertising materials and live performances, but there have been rumors of internal conflicts within the band in recent years. Disagreements about creative direction, scheduling issues, and even the group's management, and touring choices may have occurred. Based on backstage rumors and social media buzz, Todd apparently struggled to adapt to the rigid timetables and hierarchical structure typical of such a large and established company. Because he came from an independent background and had strong beliefs, this posed a challenge. Furthermore, according to some insiders, there might have been philosophical disagreements, particularly about the direction of gospel music, the role of race in Christian music, and the treatment of some members in comparison to others. Todd's public appearances with the group have significantly decreased, which has only stoked conjecture. Even though none of these rumors have been publicly verified, others say he might just be reassessing his goals, while others think he might be taking a step back to pursue new ministry options. Todd and Michael, did they disagree? There has been talk of conflict between Michael English and Todd Suttles behind the scenes. Despite the fact that they were not longtime comrades and had little overlap within the Gaither Vocal Band, some people close to the band claimed that their personalities and styles didn't mesh well. An accomplished performer with decades of experience, Michael was renowned for being both emotionally and passionately charged. Todd, however, was from a very different world. He brought to the music industry a relaxed, team-oriented, and athletic approach. According to some reports, there were arguments during rehearsals and while on tour, especially around artistic authority and stage performance dynamics. Others claimed that there was only natural tension between two very different persons attempting to fulfill the same purpose in different ways, rather than any hostility. Legacy and prospects. Both Todd Suttles and Michael English have had difficult paths with the Gaither Vocal Band, whether as a result of creative disagreements, personal hardships, or scandal. Their contributions, however, cannot be denied. Despite his difficulties, Michael English continues to be one of the most recognizable voices in the history of Christian music. Numerous listeners are still motivated by his music, and his biography serves as an example of the strength of forgiveness and second chances. Todd Suttles offered something completely new, a reminder that happiness, modesty, and genuineness are just as potent as technical proficiency. His story demonstrates that gospel music is accessible to anybody with a message and a desire to serve.